And we're live.
All right. So welcome back this week. We have another great topic. This one I'm really excited about. Not well, I'm excited about all of them. This one I'm really excited about because I get calls about it. So we're talking about when your dog is stealing items and what to do about it. Because that is a big thing. They're stealing shoes, they're stealing food, they're stealing
Yeah.
clothes, they're stealing everything. So we're gonna talk about why your dog is stealing items, what to do when you catch them stealing items, and some training you can do to kind of fix it because that's a big thing.
Exactly.
Um,
So, Pam, why do dogs steal? And is there different types of criminals stealing in the dog type things?
Yes,
All right.
exactly. Even criminals that steal things. So yes, actually, there's different types of thieves that or dogs that steal things. So you'll have those like stealthy stealers that the dogs that'll wait till the coast is clear before like they go get things. And so you may notice that you may leave like a piece of your dinner on the table and they're not touching it while you're around. But then as soon as you leave, they're like on it and then they take your items. So you have those type of stealers. You have the ones that are attention seeking, and
Okay.
basically what they're doing is they'll go steal something and they'll come dangle it in front of your face like, ha ha ha, look what I have for you to gain chase or do whatever they want you to do. And then there's also, again, the catch me if you can criminals. So they'll steal things like shoes, garbage bags and stuff, and they'll wait till you get close to them and then they'll engage in chase and stuff. So it's more so they want to engage in some type of fun play. And then they are the collectors, and that's what my dog is. So those are those
Oh,
dogs
really?
that will
Okay.
take items and they'll go hide them different places, and then you'll be wondering where your shoes are, your slippers are, and things like that. So you definitely have those four different types of criminals when it comes down to
Okay.
like stealing things.
I think my daughter's a collector too, so I don't know where that lands with kids, but
Yep,
she misplaces car keys, letters, all those things. So, um,
yep.
awesome to know. Like, so you can everyone I'm sure knows what type of dog they're, what kind of stealer the dog probably is at this point.
Hmm.
But when a dog does steal something, especially I know a lot of dogs are like counter surfers, so they're getting food or things they shouldn't
Yep.
have. What do you do when you catch them in the act and they've got something in their mouth?
Okay. The first thing you don't want to do is chase your dog. That's all they want. They want you to engage in chase and fun. And what do we do? The first thing we do is like, hey, give that to me. And we try to run after them. Then it's a game of chase. And then they continue to do it all the time. So one thing you want to do if you catch your dog with an item that you don't want them to have, you just want to ignore them. Ignore
Okay.
them, act like you didn't see it happen. But of course, if it's something dangerous, then you want to try to more so engage trying to get it away from them. But if it's not, if it's a shoe or something like that, just ignore them. And
Okay.
then what you want to do, you can grab a treat and just
Yeah.
calmly walk up to your dog or next to your dog, but just act like it's nothing. And then what you want to do is take that treat and put it and dangle it to the side of them and wait for them to release the whatever they have, and then you can give it to them. So you just don't want to go and start playing, taking it out of their mouth because then it turns into a game of tug, and that's exactly what they want. But if you could offer them something that's even more better than, I mean, that's even more interesting than what they have in their mouth, that would be ideal. So just holding it out, waiting for them to drop it, and then giving them a treat. And if you do that each and every time, just every time, and then ask them to drop it, then they'll start to learn drop it too. And it'll be a lot easier to
That's
get
true.
stuff away from them opposed to just like grabbing a treat each time. So that's something
Yeah.
you can do in the interim. Yeah.
And I guess you want to have like, you want to save like very high value treats for those instances, especially if it's something, let's say, dangerous to them or something they really shouldn't have in their mouth, that sort of thing, right?
Exactly. So you want to make sure what Scott's talking about is the high value treat, something that gets them really going and something that's going to keep their focus. So if you have like a cheese stick, hot dog, or even peanut butter, but you don't have that laying around, any type of dry treat that's smelly like salmon and stuff, or anything that considered high value to your dog, will pique their interest and get them to
Yeah.
come with you. So just dangling whatever that is to the side of them and then waiting for them to drop it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool.
Yep.
So we know what to do if they catch it. We know what type of criminals are. But what can we do training wise as far as actually prevent? Let's be proactive. Let's prevent it. So what training
Yep.
would you recommend to help people to actually stop before they actually do it, type of thing?
Yep. So you actually want to train your dog to leave it, to actually leave items. And what you want to do is you start off with just a simple treat in your hand. You're going to let your dog muzzle your hand until they stop. And when they stop, you're going to open your hand and you're going to give them the treat. And so what you're doing is you're rewarding them for actually stopping and leaving the treat. And then what you'll notice each and every time you do that, your dog will leave it quicker and quicker when you ask them, because they realize it gets them to treat faster. And so you want to do that for about 10 times and make sure your dog really gets it. So when you're saying leave it, they're leaving it, and then you can open and give it to them. And one thing I talk to my clients about too, when you're asking your dog to leave something and it's on the floor, because once you do it on the, in the hand and get it, you can place the treat on the floor and put your hand over it and ask them to leave it. So the most important thing is don't ask them to leave it and they do, and then have them go to the floor and get it. You want to pick it up off the floor and hand it to them, because technically if you're asking them to leave something, you don't want them to go back and get it. And especially if something that's dangerous, you definitely don't want them to go back and get it. So it's very important when you're practicing this to make sure that you're picking it up and giving it to your dog. So once you practice it with treats and stuff, and it actually leaving those treats, you want to start to bring in real life items of things that you want to leave. So whether that's a shoe, a piece of clothing, or anything that you want, and just start practicing with that. And then you can start practicing the house when they have things in their mouth. And remember, it does take your dog some time to kind of get, leave it, especially if it's not in the training mode. So you want to try to practice it. So you may have to offer them a treat in the beginning each time, and then over time it'll start to, you can start to fade that out. But that's essentially what you want to do.
Is there a benchmark? So then we're doing the treats training type of thing. Say we're putting on their paw and then we're giving them. Is there a certain amount of times they should be able to do it in a row, and then we can graduate them to the next step with items type of thing?
So ideally you want to do it 10 times in a row, and if they're leaving the items within 3 to 5 seconds, within those 10 times you're doing it, then you can go ahead and progress onto leaving it with actual items. But if you're doing leave it with your dog, and say they're taking 15 to 20 seconds and they're just muzzling around, or they just won't leave it, then you want to stick to where using the treats until they actually really get to what you're asking them, which is to leave your hand and leave the treat alone. And then, once you start practicing with different items, it boosts it up a level. You can start asking them to leave it for a little bit, for a certain amount of time, because sometimes you may not be right there where you ask them to leave something. So you can start by asking them to leave an item. Wait 2 or 3 seconds, and then giving them a treat after they leave it, and start, asking them to leave stuff longer and longer and longer. And that's when you get to the point where you can ask them to leave something and you can go get it, and then it'll be okay.
Okay, that makes sense. For sure. Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people, because you hear all the time, we see in the Facebook groups, there's so many counter surfers. That's just what dogs do, but there is a way to actually train dogs to properly leave it and actually stop doing that, especially for things that are going to harm them, and they don't know any better. They just whatever it may be, right? So Any other tips you'd have for people as far as when they're going through the process?
So actually, let's talk about trying to prevent this even before it starts, the counter surfing and stuff. I always talk to my clients and stuff about making sure that your house is doggy proof. We have to baby proof our house, but you definitely want to doggy proof your house. So if you have the dogs that are counter surfing, you want to make sure that the food is off the counter, or that it's pushed way to the back, where your dog can't reach. If you have but of course, if you have the taller dogs that can reach to the back of the counter, you just want to make sure the food is put away. And also, I tell folks, do a sweep of your house a few times throughout the day. Make sure that the shoes are put up and put away. Make sure that there's not any trash lingering on the ground, or food on the ground from the dinner from before. So just simply as doing a check around the house in the morning, a check in the evening before you go to bed, so you won't have to check in the morning, and just be vigilant of items on the floor, and that will help your dog not steal items as well. So just be vigilant. That's all. Yep.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So hopefully people got a lot from this. We covered why dogs steal. What to do if you catch them, how to prevent it with training. And then a big one, like you said, is make your house puppy proof, dog proof as far as stealing. What would you want to get into if your dog get inside their mind, and then look at everything from their level, and then really help to actually prevent it before. Even if you are working on training, you can do things right away today that will help that situation, right?
Exactly. Puppy proof your house, then jump into training, and then everything will be okay.
Nice. That is awesome. Cool.
Yep. No, Anything else? Piggyback off of? Or?
Otherwise, if you guys have any other training questions related, feel free to reach out to Pam. Instagram, Down for Paws, Facebook, Down for Paws, Messenger, website, Down for Paws. We have a massive blog catalog now, so we've done over 50 lives. We have articles, the YouTube videos that go with it on the blog and the website. So check out there. Tons of things that Pam offers as far as service to help you guys out, but tons of free stuff, free tips and everything. So always on Instagram here where we can help out. If you do have a question about this, leave it in the comments, and Pam will jump over and help you guys out. So anything to wrap up with me?
No, everyone just enjoy, the nice fallish weather wherever you are, the nice weather before it gets too cold. And we'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. See everyone next week. Bye.